let's try to answer the question on everyone's mind. What's happening with dating, modern dating? It's been called the dating crisis, the mating crisis. I call it dysfunctional dating, but whatever you call it, something seems off. There's a line in my book where I say, female choice is the most powerful force in nature. What I noticed during the pandemic was all the stories were shuttering, they were going bankrupt, they were closing. This was in New York at the time. But the one business that was thriving was the florist. Flowers, arrangements, weddings, events, special occasions. These are part of what I call the courtship economy. The restaurants are part of the courtship economy, movie theaters, date night, all the little experiences that we take for granted. If it weren't for typically a man trying to impress a woman, aka no money, no honey, we would not see the thriving of an economy. Women and their selectivity, their pickiness, aka female choice, is what keeps this courtship economy going. But female choice is always ratcheting up. A man brings one flower, soon, because she sees another woman expecting receiving two flowers, she starts expecting three. That woman sees her get three, she starts expecting four until we're at a dozen, 2 dozen, or more. It's an arms race. It's an escalating. The term arms race comes from war and strategic combat. It's a constant escalating effect. I call it the Harry Met Sally effect, based on that line in the film where Sally sees, where a woman sees Sally have a fake orgasm while eating food, trying to prove to Harry that, she could fake it. And the woman says, I'll have what she's having. So this constant ratcheting is of female, of having to satisfy females' tastes, creates not only does it ratchet, but the long-term effect is that it creates an inflationary system whereby men have to compete to satisfy women's escalating standards. And so this has wider ramifications in the dating game, meaning that this is why modern dating is so challenging, because if most women just increase their standards by let's just use percentages, 10, 15, maybe 20%, that's going to have a huge effect on what men can, which cohort of men can compete in that new demanding market. Most men are going to be left out, and the men that can succeed are going to be men who have options. Most of these women are going to approach the same guy, which is why you have these websites like Are We Dating the Same Guy? Groups on Facebook. The answer is yes, you are dating the same guy, because resources they're scarce. Millions aren't just lying around. As they say, money doesn't just grow on trees. So as more wealth is consolidated at the top, what you're going to see from these successful men are secret or invisible harems or rosters. And women do the same too. We'll talk about that as well. But women's hypergamy is something we also talk about as well. Women's hypergamic nature means that they're going to want to date up. And dating up doesn't just mean going one rung up two rungs up, it means going 4 or 5 rungs up. And now that average women are no longer interested in average men, the average men, the mids and below, don't have anyone equivalent to them to date. So now that guy has to either date down, or he has to, which means settling. This is a zero-sum game, and I talk about that more in the book. But that man now has to either, he always had to pay to play, but now he really has to pay to play. But there's no guarantee that his effort, that his time, and then and his investment will yield any results. So what starts to happen is learned helplessness. Most men, again, not all, that's why I use Charlotte and Chandler, but men start backing away because women are increasing selectivity. They're increasing the price. But what they're also doing is that they're reducing their costs. I say that female choice is the most powerful force in nature. And so female choice decides on what it values from men, what it wants from men, but female choice also decides what it doesn't want to do for men. So this is the price hike and the cost cut phenomenon. And this diagram is what is devastating modern dating. It would be one thing if women were increasing their price and increasing their effort. Great, I will pay more for something that is clearly presenting higher and higher value. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that the so-called value is being bluffed. It's BBLs, it's catfishing, it's artificial price raising, it's what I call the L'Oreal lie because I'm worth it. It's fiat value, it's because I say so. And cost cutting looks like I don't cook, I don't clean, tattoos, bodies, and again, this is the game of life. Do whatever you want. But in the game of love, there are rules, there are standards, there are expectations. And fortunately or unfortunately, those are the standards that some or most men have. I can't speak for all men. But this price hiking and cost cutting is something that men either have to deal with or learn or experience learned helplessness or exit. And so we finally come to what's happening not only with the dating crisis, but with men, with modern men. It explains why chivalry is dying. It explains why men are not approaching. It explains why the dynamics between men and women seem combative. So all of these ramifications and effects and outcomes can be traced to one simple thing. Female choice is the most powerful force in nature. So what can we do about it? That is the perennial question. Well, where we are is that women can either take a step back and start engaging in more sensible, agreeable, rational standards. But as you'll see, as I describe in my book, there's an economic nature to dating, but human beings do not hold to economic, rational models. Human beings are very irrational, even in economics, but even more so when it comes to romance. But there are some solutions, and I describe them in my book, Charlotte's Game. Check it out if you want to learn more. Happy dating.